lawyer for former President Trump sent a cease and desist letter to filmmakers of the new biopic The Apprentice, which debuted at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this week. Trump's lawyers want to block the release of the film, which reportedly received an 8-minute standing ovation. In a letter obtained by The Hill, Trump's lawyers say the film presents itself as fact, but, quote, couldn't be further from the truth. The letter also claims the film is defamatory and could be considered direct foreign interference in America's elections. Filmmakers told Variety it's a fair and balanced portrayal of the former president. So is this an expression of free speech or defamation and election interference? Here to discuss is appellate and First Amendment attorney Jeff Lewis. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. So Trump's campaign spokesman said this movie can be considered election interference. It's defamatory. It presents lies as truths. Let's get to the legal here. Does this cease and desist letter carry any weight legally?
No, it's just a letter, and it's a warning shot to any distributor in the U.S. that if they buy the rights to distribute this movie, they're also going to be buying themselves a lawsuit. But in terms of substance, any filmmaker or distributor is going to be well protected by the First Amendment here.
Do you see any further legal action or anything else unfolding from this?
Well, sure, I could see a defamation lawsuit being filed. I just don't think it's going to succeed. And one of the problems is Donald Trump is a public figure. And under New York Times versus Sullivan, any public figure plaintiff has to prove that the filmmakers or distributors knew what they were saying was false or didn't care. It's a very high standard to meet. And so even though a lawsuit may be filed, the lawsuit's not going to go anywhere.
If that lawsuit did somehow, turn success for the Trump team, what would happen with that film? It just wouldn't be allowed to air in the United States, or how would that even work?
In the United States, we don't give prior restraint in terms of court orders blocking things from coming out in the news or the media. Instead, someone sues after the fact for defamation for damages. So I would expect this case not to go to trial for 3 to 5 years. The movie will be distributed. No court's going to block it from being distributed. Worst case, if the filmmaker loses, maybe he wouldn't be able to sell DVDs or have streaming rights down the line. But this movie's coming out.
It's always so interesting to hear the reality of how long the legal process takes to play out and the reality of pursuing charges. I want to turn now away from the cease and desist letter to Trump's hush money criminal case in New York City, because that's wrapping up soon. We expect closing arguments and jury deliberation this week. The burden of proof all on the prosecution here. What should we expect from closing arguments?
Well, look, for the prosecution, their job is to provide a clear timeline of events, because sometimes witnesses don't testify chronologically. And the big burden on the prosecutor is to prove not only that Donald Trump knew what was going on in terms of the purpose of the payment, but also tying the cover-up to election, to the outcome of the election. Because it's not enough that he falsified records. You got to show he falsified records in connection with his presidential election.
And what can we expect to be big sticking points as far as interpreting the testimony and the closing arguments when it goes to jurors coming to a consensus on these things? Are you anticipating any things that are really going to hold up jury deliberations?
Well, sure. The credibility of Michael Cohen may hold up. Some people might think he's not reliable, that he might have changed his story. Same with Stormy Daniels. Her story has had various iterations over the years. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of discussion by the jurors about whether those two witnesses can be believed.
Certainly going to be interesting to see how both of these legal matters play out. But thank you for breaking all of that down for us. Appellate and First Amendment attorney Jeff Lewis, thank you.
Thank you.